Hello, my name is Kurt. Today I will be talking about time, the progression of technology, history, and stuff like that. While I was growing up, you had Game Boy. And it wasn't even Game Boy Color, it was Game Boy. And it was like a great breakthrough in technology. I remember the Christmas time and everything. Every kid wanted the Game Boy, but it was sold out like everywhere. It was this massive craze, right? It was like, wow, you could play games wherever you want on some kind of portable battery-powered device. And then Game Boy Color came along. And it's like, wow, I could play games wherever I want in color, in more advanced, forms of entertainment. And back then we had Nokia cell phones. I remember having one of those big-ass bricks. And all you could do is play like Tetris and Snake on them and stuff like that. And it had no internet, had barely any freaking reception too. You had to like fucking raise your phone into the air or like extend the antenna that was in the phone to get any sort of reception. What I'm trying to say here is that the progression of time, the progression of technology, all these things, right? It's like in school, you study about ancient Rome and ancient Egypt and all these ancient history, ancient civilizations and all that stuff, right? But think about it. 100 years down the line, 200 years down the line, like 9/11 was this big, huge event. And doesn't seem that long ago, but it was like 14 years ago already, So think of how things are going to be 1,000 years from now. I feel that kids in school are going to study about us. Like we're going to be sort of an ancient civilization they'll be studying about, as well as Rome and Egypt and all that stuff. I don't think they'll be using books that, in the future and all that stuff, but just think about it. We'll be kind of considered an ancient civilization. The progression of technology. We have virtual reality devices now. You have these freaking Oculus Rifts, all these things. You put on these glasses and whatever. And, you could download virtual pornography and it feels like you have the girl in the room with you, Japan's working on robots and all this stuff already. Medically speaking, I believe that soon we'll make a breakthrough. And soon, I don't necessarily believe that immortality will be possible yet. But I feel that medically speaking, we'll progress to the point where we could at least live to like 120, 125, stuff like that. People are already getting sort of cybernetic devices. Like people are, scientists are growing organs and hearts and everything in like freaking in labs, in like little platters, whatever. Like who would have thought of that? In the 1800s, in the 1700s, the alchemists working on their alchemy and stuff like that. Did they really think it will progress to the point where we could grow like organs in some kind of petri dish? Now, on one hand, this is kind of a good thing. But on the other hand, if you think about it, there's overpopulation going on and all that stuff as it is, right? How will it be in the near future? Will we be half cyborgs, robots, whatever? Like I said, they're already working on robots in Japan. They have some kind of robots that could talk, they could hold a conversation, they could perform surgical procedures. Who thought of stuff back then? Back in ancient times, you would give somebody whiskey or vodka, whatever, and then you would freaking saw their damn limbs off, or chop their damn arm off, whatever, and hope they survive. So the great scheme of things. I see a lot of people worried, oh man, I don't have money to pay my bill. I don't have money to do this, to do that. Think about it, dude. There's stars exploding in fucking space right now. There's all this shit going on, right? And if you look at the great scheme of things, a single individual's problem isn't that big of a deal, Like the Nazis, the Hitler regime. That was like 100 or so years ago, right? and it seems like a long time ago. It seems ancient, right? But like I said, 9/11 was already a long time ago. So just kind of got to kick back a little bit and just like relax, like I said, because everything's progressing, you know. And yeah, you know, in the 1700s and the 1800s, people were worried about droughts and farm and crops and all these diseases and their food spoiling and all that stuff, right? There's always these human sort of concern, human worries. But 1,000 years down the line, what is this really gonna matter? You know, food's gonna be grown like on demand in some kind of freaking electronic like devices. Look at the progression of music as well. You know, it went from just acoustic guitars, acoustic instruments, then out of nowhere, you know, the electric guitar. Oh wow, you know, all these sounds, all these things, right? And even now, you know, you got dubstep, all these sorts of music genres where music is done on an electronical device. Like, musicians don't even have to play instruments anymore. This may seem weird, but I feel that, you know, 30, 40 years down the line, maybe a little bit longer than that, we'll have the power to sort of make music sort of with our minds or with something, you know? If you look at that one device, the Theremin or whatever the hell it's called, it's like you move your hand close to it, far from it, and it receives the electronical impulses in your body and stuff like that, and it makes noise according to that and stuff like that. Well, think about this. I think sooner or later we'll get to the point where we just like attach this sort of device to our heads or to our brains or something, and then all the melodies we have, all the certain like rhythms and patterns we have in our heads could be received by that device, and it will be able to make music from that. Like let's say I got a tune in my head like do 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 ba ba da dee 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 ba na 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 sa da 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 ba dee 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 do 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 do. See, but I have to sing that now, right? But I believe in the future it'll just be like you just think it. You know, I'm thinking that melody right now, and it will be able to be projected. So I feel that instruments sooner or later are going to become obsolete. People, everybody could be a musician if they want to, using their sort of thought patterns and stuff like that. It's getting really crazy. So there's really no point of this video. I'm just like discussing, just talking, just shooting some info out there, you know, just kind of thinking about these things, you know. It's really interesting. Where society, where life is heading. It's really crazy. And it's progressing at a very fast pace as well because, you know, like I said, in the 90s you had like those shitty ass cell phones. Now you have cell phones with everything. Internet, video, pictures. It's crazy. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. In one way it could be a good thing, and another thing it could be a bad thing. So yeah. I'm sort of excited for the future, but on the other hand I'm not. You know, because now we have like vaporizing devices and you know, vapes and all these other devices. Smoking's becoming obsolete already. You know what I mean? I believe sooner or later there'll be devices that you could sort of attach to your brain, like binaural beats or whatever. We already have that already, but like that will stimulate the effects. Like you won't even have to vape anymore. You won't even have to ingest chemicals. You just put on this thing and be like, oh, I want LSD today. Boom. Like this whole I believe it's going to be this whole sort of like, not necessarily a virtual trip, but like tripping without the ingestion of things, you know, because I messed around with those binaural beats before. They're pretty cool. There's a lot of binaural beats that are like, oh yeah, ecstasy binaural beats and all this. All of them make me fucking tired. That's all they do. They put me in this like weird brain state. They put me in this sort of like weird, relaxed, sort of half asleep state. They don't really work as they're assigned. I don't really feel no ecstasy, no nothing. So, but like I said, I believe that sooner or later it'll be possible. Things like ecstasy, all these things will be obsolete. And we'll be just using these virtual devices and saving ourselves from sort of brain damage and organ damage and all this shit. You know what I mean? So it's really crazy. But it's going, man. It's happening fast. Bitcoins. Who would have thought of that shit back in the day? Back in the day we had silver coins. Silver currency, gold currency. Now, Bitcoins. Not even paper currency, but Bitcoins. A virtual currency that doesn't even exist in a physical sort of state. Just all computers. And it still has value. Even banks, like, you get paid, for example, you get your check. You don't even need a check anymore. They direct deposit it. It's all electronic. It's all through devices. You don't even see that money most of the time. It's just a digit on a computer screen. It's just a digit in a bank account. It's crazy. But think of this as well. Hackers and all this stuff. What's going to happen? What kind of validity does this all have? If, like, I remember during storms or during, like, sort of crazy events where electricity was gone for like a week, in the winter or whatever, it was gone for like a week. People were literally going fucking like insane. They're like, I can't watch TV. I can't go on the internet. My phone's running out of battery. All this stuff. And this brings me to the point of like human existence. Reliance on electronic devices. People don't even go outside anymore, really. Why the fuck should I go outside if I could just play games on a computer, for example, and be in this virtual mystical fantasy world like Second Life or whatever? Second Life, it's like you could freaking date people, you could do all this weird shit that you could do in real life online. It's crazy. But like I said, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Have we lost our like sort of ancient drives? There's old people that complain. It's like, when I was your age, I used to play stickball, and I used to, smack rocks with a stick with Billy and Johnny, and we didn't have no contraptions. We had a comic book every, year on Christmas, and that's it. Now comic books are available online. PDF files. You could torrent all that shit. Free. You know what I mean? And those kind of old people do have a point. Because we're getting further and further away from life. And we're becoming more sort of robotic. It's pretty insane when you think about it. We lost our sort of connection to basic life. Think of cavemen. Think of all this shit. What do? Hunt down food, freaking have sex, reproduce, make fire out of sticks and shit like that. It was all about survival. But now, you don't gotta hunt, you don't gotta do nothing. You go to the supermarket, you got a fresh steak. You don't even have to go to the supermarket anymore. You could order all that shit online. You order steaks and pizza and all this stuff online. Somebody just drops it off at your house. There you go. Hunter-gatherer thing is kind of becoming obsolete. But what will we do after that, People will kind of have no drive, Why would I bother, like, for example, why would people bother chasing mates or chasing companions anymore if all this robotic stuff's going on, I could get some kind of weird robotic companion from Japan for like $10,000, That doesn't give me any problems, That doesn't fucking mind fuck me, that doesn't like steal my money, that doesn't do all this weird shit. It's becoming sort of a utopia. But how will it be? Just a bunch of people sitting around, having relationships with robotic companions? Maybe even having babies with those things? Like, think about artificial insemination. That wasn't around back then. If you wanted a baby, you had to find some dude to, you know, blast his load in a vagina, you know what I mean? But now it's like some dude could blast his load in a freaking cup, and you don't even have to know him, you don't have to see him, whatever. You just stick that up your vagina, that's some kind of laboratory, and boom, life, baby, with all the traits you want. Blonde hair, blue eyes, oh yeah, we got that, you know, IQ, all this stuff. So freaking weird, man. So freaking weird. But anyway, just some stuff to think about. Hope you guys kind of think about this stuff and, you know, just kick back and see what's going on. You know, just enjoy things. Don't worry too much. Reestablish connection with basic life, our basic drives. Take it easy.